let's move on to our top 5 for the week. And this week's top 5 was the top 5 matches of 2016. And just to give you fair warning, I have a lot of ties in mine, so I might be cheating a little bit. And I have a number of honorable mentions. So did you have any honorable mentions?
I did. NXT The End, American Alpha versus The Revival.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Good one.
I believe this was the name of the first one, and really, forgive me if I was wrong. I didn't really look it up. And the Final Deletion, the first one, which was Broken Matt versus Jeff Hardy, because of what that did for as far as storytelling and wrestling. It was amazing, and the fact that WWE completely ripped it off like a few weeks later showed you even more how much of an impact it made. Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy told a brilliant story. It was cheesy. It was great. It was awesome in the end. And then, it was leading towards the next storyline for as far as them going to with the brother Nero. And then AJ and Dean at TLC that I just watched. It was probably, of course, matches I've seen live are going to tend to have more of an impact on me. But that match with the 450 splash from the outside, I think it was just that spot got the whole show over. But the end with the man, the myth, the legend, James Ellsworth pushing over the ladder and not necessarily turning heel, just making a business decision. That was cool.
Very nice. Very nice. Good choices. So my honorable mentions, I've got probably too many. I enjoyed too much this year.
I did too. I just cut my list.
See, you held to the rules better than I did. So honorable mention number 1, AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam.
Okay.
Honorable mention number 2, Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz at No Mercy.
Okay.
Honorable mention number 3, AJ Styles versus Roman Reigns, both the Payback and Extreme Rules matches. And I've got 2 more honorable mentions. Fabian Eichner.
Top 5 list of honorable mentions.
I know, right? Fabian Eichner versus Jack Gallagher in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Okay.
And Charlotte versus Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania.
All right.
So what is your number 5?
Number 5, Dolph versus Miz retirement match. It was a really good match, and me breaking it down because Dolph, it was a legit chance that everyone thought he could retire. I think they did a very good storyline, and dropping the news that he hadn't signed his contract, that he didn't know, he played it up on social media. I mean, the whole intention of that. And then The Miz, you're like, The Miz is white hot right now. He's really elevated the Intercontinental belt. They have this feud with Daniel Bryan going, so there's no way they're going to make The Miz lose. So is Dolph really retiring? So, and I was really caught up in the match because, again, I love matches where I don't know how it's going to end. So with that being said, I didn't have any clue how that was going to end. And then Dolph wins, and I was pretty pumped up about it. Thought he was going to have a nice long run with the IC belt. That didn't work out, but it was still a great match.
That was a great match. Real quick, speaking of contracts, I should have mentioned this earlier, but there was a comment I think on it was either SmackDown or 205 Live about Mauro Ronaldo's contract, there being an issue with it. Have you heard anything about that?
Mauro Ronaldo came out on Twitter and he's like, I have years in all caps left on my contract.
Okay, good. Okay. Thank God.
So he addressed it completely, there was no like, oh, this could mean this. No. He put in all caps, I have years left on my contract.
Okay, thank God. All right, so my number 5 is a tie. First is Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa at the Cruiserweight Classic. That match had emotion. That match had everything, I thought. And it is tied with Ricochet versus Will Ospreay at the Best of the Super Juniors, which was probably the most talked about match of 2016. So much to the point ESPN was talking about it. And it pissed off Big Van Vader and got Will Ospreay, chopped around by Vader. So that was, if you have not seen this match, it is a work of art. You go out and watch it. It is just fantastic.
Well, if you like the Revival, you will hate that match because it was all flips, no fists.
Yes. Yeah, so what is your number 4?
Huh?
Your number 4.
You kind of cut out there.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay, number 4. The Revival versus DIY take over Brooklyn. And honestly, people know from listening how much I love tag team wrestling. To say this match was number 4 should tell you that the next 3 on my list meant a lot to me because this is the best tag team wrestling match I've seen that year. This is the best tag team wrestling match I've seen in 5 years. I might even go 10 years if I could remember every detailed match that ago. This was tag team wrestling personified. If you know anyone that's looking to get in wrestling and they want to be in the tag team, put on this match. The Revival teaches you how to be a heel. The DIY teaches you how to be a face. And it is an amazing, amazing match. I put it up there with any tag team match I've ever seen.
Good call. Yes, that was an excellent match. It actually is not on my list, but that's because another match with those 4 gentlemen is on my list. So yeah, no, good call. That was an incredible match. Their whole feud. I mean, that's one of the best feuds of the year. Damn it, another potential list. Feuds of the year. Anyway, so my number 4 is another tie. Yeah, I'm really cheating on this list. It's really bad. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn at NXT TakeOver Dallas. Just Shinsuke's debut in NXT. Dallas losing their collective minds. And now, were you there for that? No, you weren't.
I wasn't.
You were not there.
So honestly, that's probably why I did not make my list.
Good call. And the other one is AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yes. Talking about this match, and I keep forgetting to go back and watch it. I need to watch it because I never saw it. I saw the end result of AJ being, turned on or whatever, but I never saw this match.
Yeah, and the actual heel turn happened the next night.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah. All right, so what is your number 3?
Women's triple threat match, WrestleMania. Again, I was in the building, and the match was amazing. The spots were amazing. But if you listen to me at all and you pay attention to everything I say, everything that comes around a match leads into me caring about the match. And the fact that this was a significant women's match at WrestleMania for a new title, the build-up was there. The entrances were amazing. I talked about this match last week, but it was everything that went on. And then they did the match, and they really put on a good show. And it was probably the best match at WrestleMania, in my opinion. Becky gets the black eye. Charlotte does her flip spot that I didn't know we were going to see like 100 more times during the year. And, Sasha Banks, it looks like she won, and then Charlotte cheats to win. And interesting storyline and continuation, I met Becky Lynch at a Comic-Con, WizardCon Tulsa this year. And when I met Becky Lynch, I had her sign the chair, Charlotte cheated. So with the ultimate goal being to when I go to a Mania or Royal Rumble or whatever, is to get Charlotte to say, "But I still won," and her sign it, and then get Sasha to put on it, "But I'm still the boss."
Oh, that would be awesome.
So very if I get them all to put, pretty much exactly what I say on it, it would be amazing. Because I would like her to put, "I still won, first women's champ," and then sign it, and then Sasha, but she's still the boss.
Very cool. Excellent one. So My number 3 is my last tie of the day. First one was Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens at Battleground. Their best match in WWE, easily. They had some good matches in NXT, but you could tell they were kind of holding back. And this wasn't, to the brutality of what they did in Ring of Honor or PWG or other places, but this was a just absolute classic match. And the other is the Briscoes versus the Young Bucks from Ring of Honor's Final Battle. I just enjoyed the hell out of that match, and that super kick party at the end was just, the whole thing was great.
And I think what added to that match, and it probably would have made my list if I just didn't watch it yesterday, and I kind of did my list earlier this week. So the other thing that added to it was the whole broken. I mean, to me, like I say, the match is everything that around the match. The broken debut just was like, it was a 4-star match. And the broken debut, to me, made it a 5-star match.
Agreed. Very, very much so. All right, what is your number 2?
Number 2. I am a fanboy for this guy, Cedric Alexander versus Kota Ibushi. Second round of the Cruiserweight Classic. Went into the match, assuming Kota Ibushi was going to win. And he was going to go on. So they were going to put on a boring match. Kota Ibushi was going to go over, blah, blah, blah. I did not know what at that point, I did not appreciate the Cruiserweight Classic, because they put on one of the best wrestling performances that I've seen. I'm not going to compare it to anything else as far as in the WWE, because you're not used to seeing these matches where they took two guys, and the storyline was CWC and Cedric. He dropped all the weight, and he quit his previous job, because he did. He quit ROH to be in this. He quit ROH to be in this tournament, and he then put on the match of his life. And I don't get close to tears on wrestling matches at all, but as far as how it ended and the whole Triple H thing coming out, I was like, yeah, that was everything.
Yes, and that is also my number 2 match. Cedric Alexander versus Kota Ibushi in the Cruiserweight Classic. That is everything professional wrestling should be. It was so outstandingly good. Both guys walked away looking like $1 million. I would actually argue that Cedric Alexander actually walked away looking better than Kota Ibushi did. And it was a fantastic Kota Ibushi performance. But the crowd's reaction going nuts for him, the part at the end with Triple H coming out, that whole thing, I was in tears during it. And you're right, they even acknowledged that he left Ring of Honor, and they even, Mauro Ronaldo name-dropped Ring of Honor. He said he left a lucrative contract with Ring of Honor to come here to compete in the Cruiserweight Classic. And the fact that they had mentioned that by name, I loved. That was something I also really enjoyed about the Cruiserweight Classic, is they weren't afraid to give some names, at least, as places these other people had wrestled. They would talk about CMLL. They would talk about New Japan. I think they even mentioned Pro Wrestling Noah at one point. They mentioned Ring of Honor, and that was really cool, because to me it gets really irritating when organizations pretend that they're in this bubble, their own little world, and WWE's worse about that than worse than anyone else. So it was very cool that all of this acknowledgement of the other companies and work that these guys have done before coming here, which they kind of had to do because the only person in that entire tournament who'd worked in WWE before that was Rich Swann. But yeah, this match was ridiculous. And to me, this is another one of those matches. If you have a friend who's like not really into professional wrestling, but maybe had watched it at one point, and you want to try to get them interested in it again, I would say that the Ricochet Ospreay match is a good one to show. But the Cedric Alexander Kota Ibushi match, you show this to somebody and they're going to go, "Wow, that was freaking awesome." So yeah, I love this match, adored it, and so yeah. What was your number 1?
Did you cut out?
Maybe. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, okay. But I didn't hear anything you said in the last I'd say 15 seconds.
Oh, that's
kind of, yeah, that was kind of weird.
Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, I just love the match. What was your number one?
Number one. And you know what? And honestly, any of my top 5 could have been number one. But his story this year has been like the most amazing wrestling story. And to me, the culmination of that wrestling story is when they bring you in and within 7 months, they're putting you over their top guy. AJ Styles versus John Cena at SummerSlam.
Oh, yes. Good call.
And, it's, like I said, everything goes into the match with me. The match, the performance was amazing. John Cena has said it 100 times. He's great when you give him someone great to work with. And, of course, you can't get any better than AJ Styles, and he proves it. John Cena can tell the hell of a story when he wants to. AJ kicking out of the avalanche FU or attitude adjustment, which no one has ever done on WWE TV. He kicks out of it. I mean, he hits his move. He wins his match. He leaves the armband in the middle of the ring. Oh my God, the story of, AJ wearing the armband, because I came in, I was the biggest guy in the indies, and I came in and I beat the biggest mainstream guy you had. For anyone that is a fan of wrestling in general, the story around that match, just amazing.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. And that was in a lot of ways it's kind of unbelievable that Vince McMahon would book AJ Styles to beat John Cena. It's kind of mind-blowing to think about that. It's perfect, and it's one of those cases where, to quote the late great Randy Savage, the cream really does rise to the top. And that's with AJ Styles. Sometimes they deny, excellent talent. We talked about Cesaro earlier. They're just not using him to his fullest potential. And sometimes there are people that come in that bust open the door and go, no, you can't ignore me. You can't hold me down. And AJ Styles is one of those guys. And, that match was excellent. The whole thing, and I'm like you. I could have any on this list, including my honorable mentions, all my ties, depending on my mood. Almost any of them, with the exception of maybe the top 2, could have been in any different order. It's just here are a butt ton of amazing matches from this year that you should watch. But yeah, that one is it is pretty special, and I kind of wish AJ had torn into John Cena a little bit more about, you've lived this silver spoon mouth. You've had a silver spoon this whole time for 10 years while I've been, working hard in places you couldn't have handled the path I went on. And we talked about that before, and I know you even mentioned this, that they wouldn't go that route because, WWE's the promised land and nowhere else can be better than WWE. But yeah, that was excellent match. And so my number one, I alluded to it earlier, the Revival versus Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa DIY at TakeOver Toronto, when the small guys that could finally win the title, the whole match. And you could almost put this match and the Brooklyn match just together because they were both so good. I mean,
yeah, it did make my list because of the legal ending.
Oh yeah, with the both tapping out, that really bugs you.
I'm like, was this a tornado match? Am I not aware of this? I'm confused. I'm confused about that.
That was
it was a perfect ending, but it was just so okay. So the referee just completely ignored the rules of wrestling. Okay, cool.
They do it all the time.
They do, and it's annoying to me. You set the storyline, you set the standards. So make the match a tornado match, and that answers all your questions.
Yeah, that was really good.
It was a really really good match. Ciampa and Gargano did nothing for me. I saw, I'm not a big lovable losers guy, but the dude tells a hell of a story in the ring. And he does it with his size and everything. And he's a really good wrestler. And I was always a fan of the Psycho Killer, Ciampa, from his time in ROH. When he was big in ROH is when I actually watched ROH more. And then he kind of went away, and then he showed up in WWE. And it was funny because in ROH he was considered kind of a big dude. They kind of built him up as the monster Tommaso Ciampa, and in WWE he's basically a cruiserweight. That should just tell you the difference from ROH to WWE. But that match, yeah, to me, you could take any DIY Revival match, and like I said, take it, record it, put it on the first day. Like if two dudes that decide they want to be a tag team, you show them these matches and say that's what you strive for every day.
Yeah, you really could.
It's been better than any match that's tag team matches. Their tag team matches, the Revival's tag team matches with them and American Alpha, as far as those 4 matches, have been better than any tag match on the main roster this year.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean,
it's not even close. And it's funny because basically Usos just stole the Revival's style, and they can't do it as well as they can.
No. But
Gallows and Anderson, I mean, once they're given more time, you'll see that they're a special tag team too. But they're just so good, and I'm so afraid for the Revival when they go to the main roster because, of course, in the main roster you don't get the time to put on the matches that they put on, and a lot of the big crowds are just not going to understand how good they are.
Agreed. Yeah, they should probably go to SmackDown and have a feud with American Alpha.
That's true, and they should also. I feel it sucks because they're both so good on the mic. I think they're going to need a manager to kind of get them over to the crowd.
And how messed up is that? Because they are really, really good. They've gotten so good on the mic this year.
Yeah. It's like it's honestly like going from theater to working in movies. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a smaller stage, and they are amazing on that small stage. But only smart fans, and I don't mean this as disrespect to any other people that don't consider themselves smart or whatever, they're really the only ones that get the Revival.
You're right. The casual fans, until the casual fans see a match like this, they're not going to get into the Revival. They're just not. Yeah. And I remember after the Revival had their feud with American Alpha, there was a lot of talk of, okay, these guys are really good, but can they have good matches with anyone else? Because up to that point, they'd really only had spectacular matches with American Alpha. And then here come DIY, and it's like, nope, okay, these guys really are that good, because they've now just had a series of matches that are even better than those amazing matches that they had with American Alpha, with Gargano and Ciampa. 2 guys who, this time, about a year ago, were just starting out as a tag team. These guys had never wrestled as a tag team before coming to WWE. They came to WWE to be in the Cruiserweight, or in the Dusty Rhodes tournament. They hadn't tagged before. I mean, Tommaso had been in Ring of Honor for a long time, then it was in Evolve, and Gargano was in Evolve, but as a single wrestler for years. And so, yeah, they got together, and then it just clicked, and it's fantastic. So that's the top 5 for this week. Now, do you have an idea for next week's top 5?
Actually, I started working on the top 5 for this year, and I would like to do the top 5 tag teams of this year.
Oh, cool. Okay, I love it. Top 5. Oh man. Oh, that demon. I know my number 1.
I was going to say, I got my 5 and my 3 honorable mentions. Honestly, the order is probably going to change sometime this week.
All right, man. That's a good one. So we will talk about that next week. Before we get out of here,